Alright, let's go deeper into this, because what just happened with Shedeur Sanders isn't just some kid slipping a few spots in the draft. No, this might end up being one of the most controversial, eye-opening moments we've seen in the modern history of the NFL. I've been sitting with this for over 24 hours now, and I can't let it go. The more I think about it, the less it feels like a simple misjudgment or bad luck. It feels darker. It feels calculated. And there's one word that keeps echoing in my mind, collusion. Now listen, I don't throw that word around for drama. This isn't just a hot take or some emotional rant. I honestly believe we just watched a $50 million robbery happen right in front of us, broadcast to the entire football world. Not a mistake, not an oversight, a robbery, and Shedeur Sanders was the target. That's what it looks like to me. That's what I believe happened. And if I'm right, the NFL may have just made one of the biggest legal missteps we've seen in decades. See, the draft is supposed to be magical. It's the dream walking across that stage, hearing your name, hugging your family. It's the payoff for years of blood, sweat, and sacrifice. For Shedeur, that dream moment turned into something else. Something cold, public, cruel. A coronation twisted into a crucifixion. So if this hits you the way it hit me, take a second to subscribe, drop a like, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's just lay it out. We're talking about a quarterback who was projected to go in the top 10, worst case, early second round. You can check every major mock draft from January to April. They all had him going no later than pick 40. He had the stats, he had the poise, he had the story, but more than anything, he had the talent. This wasn't some media-hyped fantasy. This was a high-Q top-tier quarterback who led the entire NCAA in completion percentage, 74.1%. That's not just good, that's elite. He broke records. He was the face of one of the most electrifying programs in college football, a program that literally reshaped how we talk about the game. And then came draft night. Round 1, crickets. Round 2, silence. Round 3, 4, still nothing. No phone call, no team, no celebration. That champagne bottle at his draft party, it's never even got opened. And when pick 144 finally rolled around, it was the Cleveland Browns who called his name, and the broadcast didn't even pause. No reaction. It just moved on. The biggest name in college football became invisible in real time. Now people tried to explain it away. Maybe he wasn't ready. Maybe he had a bad interview. Maybe teams had concerns about his leadership, his attitude, his fit. But come on, falling to the 5th round? That's not a drop. That's not a slide. A black hole. That's deliberate, and I'm not the only one who thinks so, because now, according to reports, the Sanders family is preparing to sue the National Football League, not just for defamation, not just for lost earnings, but for collusion. And you know what? When I heard that tie didn't blink, I nodded. Because that's exactly what it looks like. You're telling me that 32 teams with 32 scouting departments, all with different needs, all came to the exact same conclusion? That this guy, top 3 quarterback prospect, wasn't worth a shot until pick 144. Sorry, that doesn't pass the smell test. Guys like this don't fall for rounds unless there's something else going on behind the scenes, and that's where things start to get real shady. Because the NFL has a long, well-documented history of protecting its image, protecting the shield. It's not the first time we've seen how they respond when a personality threatens that image. Let's be honest, Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders. They're not just players, they're a brand, a media force, and they don't wait for the league to tell their story. They tell it themselves. That independence, that kind of control, it terrifies people. At the Combine, coaches grilled Shedeur over his worst plays. One coach asked about a blown snap, and Shedeur answered, "Maybe I'm not your guy." Was it the perfect answer? Maybe not. But is that one line in a stressful meeting really enough to tank someone's stock that hard? Teams even reportedly planted mistakes during install sessions just to see if he'd catch them. One time, he didn't. That rubbed some coaches the wrong way. But are we really erasing an entire career over one missed fake install? Let's talk about the actual teams. A lot of them didn't even need quarterbacks. Pittsburgh, talking to Aaron Rodgers. Tennessee, all in on Cale Ward. The Giants didn't even show interest. The Rams and the Browns traded down. clearly eyeing the 2026 class. What was really going on? Well, leaked communications. Yes, actual internal messages are now being reviewed by independent sources. According to reports, the Sanders legal team uncovered them during a private investigation. And these documents suggest multiple NFL owners warned each other not to draft Shedeur. They didn't want the media baggage. Okay? They didn't want the spotlight. They didn't want the primetime effect. And it gets worse. Some of those messages allegedly show owners communicating directly, saying, "Let him fall. Pass unless necessary. Send a message." And what message is that? That if you're a player, especially one with a last name like Sanders, you don't get to control the narrative. That being visible, vocal, confident, and unapologetically proud of your identity will cost you. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's backed by actual evidence, insider accounts, internal communications. And if this makes it to court, this could be the biggest NFL collusion case since Kaepernick. But let's be clear, this is not the Kaepernick situation. Colin was blackballed for taking a knee. Shedeur wasn't erased. He was humiliated. That's a crucial difference. They didn't exile him. They just made sure he fell far enough to lose millions. To damage his brand, to shake his confidence, and maybe that's exactly why the league thought they could get away with it. It was just enough to hurt but not enough to spark outrage. Only, they miscalculated because now, Deion Sanders' coach Prime isn't staying quiet. He's furious. Word is, behind the scenes, he's telling people his son was blackballed. And with legal teams circling and reporters starting to dig, this thing is about to blow wide open. If you want to follow the fallout, if you believe in uncovering the truth, then take 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let me know what you think in the comments, because something tells me we're just getting started. Let's be honest, Primetime's DNA is all over that kid. The confidence, the presence, the self-belief's not forced. It's not coached. It's raw. It's in his blood. And when Shedeur Sanders speaks, you don't just hear him. You hear echoes of his father's bravado in every word. But that's exactly what rubbed some NFL execs the wrong way. And this started way before draft night. Let's rewind to the combine. Shedeur didn't throw, didn't work out. He showed up, did some interviews, and left. That's it. And for the NFL decision makers, that was strike one. They want their prospects to play the game, show humility, kiss the ring, prove they belong. But Shedeur walked in like, "You've seen my tape. You know who I am." And the truth is, he wasn't wrong. But the NFL, they're still married to old school tradition. And that kind of unapologetic self-assurance, it doesn't always sit well. Then came the interviews, and word started to spread Shedeur was too confident, too self-assured, maybe even came off a little dismissive. And in a league that thrives on hierarchy and obedience, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Because this league doesn't just want talent, it wants soldiers. Players who follow orders. Players who fit the mold. So when Shedeur slid to the 5th round, it wasn't about football. Let's be real, this is a guy who outperformed the #1 overall pick in college. Stat for stat, game for game, he balled out. He was one of the most talked about quarterbacks in the draft class. And yet, over 130 names were called before his nah. Something else was going on. The analysts tried to explain it away, said he. Wasn't generational, didn't have the intangibles, came with baggage. But let's call that what it is. Code. Code for the fact that Shedeur didn't play their game. He didn't beg. He didn't shrink. He didn't mold himself to their expectations. And now, the Sanders legal team sees it for what it is. To them, this wasn't just a fall, it was a setup, a message. That in the NFL, you don't write your own narrative. They do. And if you want proof, look no further than that infamous Colin Cowherd. Quote, "Nobody wants a celebrity backup quarterback." According to reports, that one line is already being cited in the early drafts of the legal complaint. Because it's not just ammunition. You've got former players saying, "We've never seen anything like this." Because let's be real, first-round caliber quarterbacks don't just fall to the 5th round. That's not a coincidence. That's not bad luck. It's targeted devaluation and the whispers out of Berea. They're telling too, some say the Browns didn't even want to draft him. That ownership had to step in. One source even claimed, "Take him off the board. I don't want that guy." The question is why? Was it about Talentor the Shadow his last name casts? Look, I'm not here to pretend Shedeur handled everything perfectly, he told teams. If you want a new culture, I'm your guy. Depending on who's listening, that's either bold, leadership, or unchecked ego. And Dion, he didn't exactly stay quiet either. He said it straight up on podcasts. That's my son. I'm gonna get him where I want to get him. Again, depends on how you interpret it. Is that confidence? Or is that control? But none of that changes the facts. Shedeur he took Jackson State to the national spotlight. He made people care about an HBCU program that was being ignored. Then he moved to Colorado and turned a forgotten team into the most watched storyline in the sport. And now after all that, they're calling him uncoachable, entitled.
Please.
This isn't just about Shedeur anymore. This is Deion Sanders versus the NFL establishment. Primetime has always been a disruptor, from the way he recruits to the way he controls media and the league. It doesn't know how to handle that. Because this is a league that thrives on control, on image, on rules. And when Shedeur skipped the Senior Bowl and the Combine workouts and acted like he was already that guy, they didn't like it. Suddenly, anonymous scouts start leaking things. He's arrogant. He won't accept being a backup. He lacks leadership. But according to the Sanders camp, these weren't just stray comments. They were part of a coordinated effort, a calculated smear campaign designed to tank his stock, to punish him. And let's talk numbers for a second. A top 10 pick in 2025? That's around $35 million guaranteed. Shedeur's rookie deal with the Browns, just $4.6 million. Minimal guarantees. That's not just a drop hits a crater. Now comes the legal battle. Reports say the lawsuit could seek over $100 million in damages. That includes lost salary, endorsements, branding deals, and long-term earning potential. And beyond that, it's about Prime's brand, Deion's credibility, and their future in recruiting and business. And this lawsuit, it might not stop with the NFL. Word is they're considering subpoenas for media outlets, scouting agencies, maybe even individual general managers, emails, texts, internal notes. If the Sanders family really has receipts, this could blow up into something way bigger than anyone expected. Right now, the NFL is staying quiet, but behind the scenes, executives are reportedly fuming. One unnamed AFC source even said, if they sue, they're done. He'll never get another snap. But you know what? Shedeur doesn't care. People close to him say he's at peace with it, that he'd rather walk away than stay silent. They tried to make an example out of him. But now, he's going to flip the script and make an example out of them. And in the meantime, he's locked in, working out with the Browns. Quiet, focused, not tweeting, not talking. But this story, it's just getting started. Because if what's being alleged turns out to be true, then the NFL didn't just fumble a draft pick, they fumbled a dynasty. And the Sanders family, they're coming to collect. Thanks for watching and see you next.